back to your wake-up weather. From News 14 Carolina.
Hey everybody, Matt Morano, morning meteorologist here at News 14 Carolina. Welcome to our studio. Here we are in East Moorhead in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the station is very close to uptown Charlotte, as a matter of fact. There it is. There's the Duke Energy Center building, the skyline, uptown Charlotte just beyond. And we're also located adjacent to the light rail. There goes a train right now. So it is a busy spot, also a good spot to observe the weather. And I frequently will come outside this door here and look out. Really is no substitute for seeing what the weather's like by looking outside. Well, here we are inside the newsroom of News 14. We've got producers. We've got folks that work on the web. We've got photographers. They're working on stories for the day ahead. And you can see right now it's pretty quiet at this hour in the morning, but frequently later in the day as more people are in working on their stories, making deadlines, it's a lot more active inside. Well, here's our news studio. You can see the cameras, the lights, the monitor, and there's Rob Bover, our morning news anchor. Well, finally, we're in the Weather Center here at News 14. This is where all the magic happens. And, you know, by the way, I get into the Weather Center here at the studio at 3 o'clock in the morning. So my day just goes from 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock nonstop. And what I do in between, really for the first about hour and a half, is I work on my graphics. I look at forecasting material, build the graphics, and then we work over here towards the famous green wall, where I'll stand and do those weathers every 10 minutes for 3 hours from 5 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm seen on tape for a good portion of the rest of the morning as well. Now, that's just a short overview of what it looks like here. I've got other folks in the weather staff that are going to be showing you how we really do everything on a daily basis.
I'm News 14 Carolina Chief Meteorologist Jeff Crum, and you know, to build a forecast and what we put out on the air every day, it's really not an easy task, especially when we're worried about severe weather or winter weather here through the Carolinas. We have to sift through a lot of model data. You hear us talk about that a lot, and that's merely a computer's best guess about what it thinks is going to take place across the region. And like many of you all at home, we use our computers a lot to access that information. Most all the data we get today, a lot of the public and students and teachers can find right online. Now we have some internal data that we have access to that the public does not, but it's not that difficult. When I come into work every day, I sit down at the computer and I always like to take a look at what's going on with the surface features. We look at surface features. Where is it currently and where could it be going as we head through time? And one of the things we look at, of course, from the government, this is what we refer to as a surface prog, and it does a pretty good job of telling us where things are located currently. High pressure we always associate generally with good weather. Low pressure usually we associate with cold fronts and maybe the threat for either some winter weather or severe weather. We're also interested in satellite data. We want to see how much cloud cover is out there, what's moving our way, what's moving away from our region. Is there something that is showing some signs of perhaps a bit of a surprise that the model data hasn't caught up to yet? And we look at, well, the numerical model. This all looks like a bunch of numbers and everything, but in that data, we're able to determine where temperatures are going to be at a certain hour, how much cloud cover we may have, and what's the possibility of precipitation at a given hour. So we like to look at a lot of the raw data for the Charlotte region. And we also like to look at some of the internal modeling from our weather service provider that gives us kind of a graphic perspective of where we can find the cold air, where's the ridge of high pressure, where's the moisture going, are there storms coming in from the Pacific, is that going to work its way across the country? And also the jet stream, which is important because the jet stream is kind of the highway that helps to move things from generally west to east across the region. So we're looking at a lot of different model sets and trying to determine what the forecast is going to be. We're not flipping a quarter, we're not playing Parcheesi or anything, we're just trying to figure out kind of an educated guess, in our opinion, take that broad perspective of the model data from across the region and focus that in across the Carolinas and how that may or may not affect us. Do you need a coat for the day? Do you need a rain jacket? Or are you going to have to wear shorts? You know, what's the weather going to be? And this is how we try to put our best educated guests together.
Okay, everybody, I'm meteorologist Doug Lindsay here in the News 14 Weather Studios. Thanks, Jeff, for all that great information. You know, I like to think of this weather stuff in the TV business in really three different parts. We got the hard work, The hard work is what Jeff just showed you, doing all the forecasting, putting your forecast together in your mind and what you think the weather's actually going to do. Then we've got the easy work, which is what I'm about to show you, is the actual building of the graphics. And then we got the fun stuff. And we'll talk more about the fun stuff in a little bit. So on to the easy work. Jeff has given us a forecast. I just have done my forecast as well. Now it's time for me to start building some graphics that I'm going to present to you, the viewer. And we've got a couple of computers that you see here with really some very ingenious software that make this a very easy process. What used to be a very complicated process, just less than 10 years ago really, has now become very easy thanks to all of this wonderful software. A couple of graphics we'll just build very quickly just to give you an idea of how simple this is. Here's a graphic that you'll see all the time. This is a graphic that will give us our forecast for what we believe is going to happen overnight tonight. Temperatures that are going to be, well, maybe in the middle 40s. This is the actual graphic itself, but over here is where I actually work on the graphic to build what shows up over here. So this temperature 44, I think I want to adjust that a little bit, and I'm going to make that 46 degrees. I don't think it's going to be quite that cool, so I just type in 46 and hit enter, and just that easy, we now have 46 degrees here on this graphic. We have the moon and the clouds right here. That's the sky conditions for the overnight hours. We have a mostly cloudy condition here and a mostly cloudy forecast, but I could very simply change that over here by just changing that to a partly cloudy sky. But we do indeed have a mostly cloudy sky, so we're going to keep that going. Down here at the bottom left corner, there's a little button that looks like a camera. We push that and it records it for us. Another really good graphic to show would be a surface map. Basically, when you're building a surface map, which would be showing areas of low pressure, cold fronts, warm fronts, things like that, we start with a 120 frame map. We build what we want on the first frame, which would be what the weather's like right now. We build where we want all of those things on the map to be tomorrow, and then the computer builds all the frames in between automatically. So it really saves a lot of time and makes it a lot easier. Now that show is ready to play, and this is when we get into what I said was the fun stuff. Once the show is in play, now we get to have the fun of actually presenting this forecast to you, the viewer, at the green wall, and meteorologist Tara Lane is going to show you that.
Well, thanks, Doug. All right, everyone. Now, this is the actual part that you do see on TV when you're watching the weather with your parents or something, or watching the news. This is what we do and how we present our weather forecast. We stand in front of this big green wall. You can see it's just a big wall that's painted green. And with the magic of computers, they can actually put the map behind us. So that's what you see out there at home. And that's what we can see too as we look side to side on the monitors. And so too, it looks like we might be actually pointing at the map and at these numbers, but what we're really looking at is these monitors on either side of us and also right in front of us too. And that's kind of telling us, if we're pointing in the right spot and things like that. So that's what we do. We get up here, we put our show in play. We go over to that computer where Doug was making the pretty graphics, and we basically press a little play button, just like you do on your DVD player or something like that at home. So we have the show in play, and then what we have to do is come over here and start this timer. I know this weather forecast is going to be 3 minutes long, so I'm going to set it for 3 minutes. And what happens is I stand up here and I wait for the weather to start. I know that by watching the TV, just like you're doing at home. I watch the commercials and everything, and then when I start to see that weather on the ones graphic come up and that music playing, that's when I hit this pedal, and then when I see myself pop up, that's when I start talking about the weather. That's when the weather forecast starts. All right, so here we go. So pretend it's in a commercial, and I'm standing here and waiting, and boom, I see myself pop up. So I'm going to hit that pedal, and it's going to count me down through those 3 minutes, and once it hits 0, that's when I have to stop and stop talking. So there we go. All right, 3, 2, 1. Thanks for checking with us, folks, on your Sunday morning for that Weather on the Ones forecast. It's a cold start out there with temperatures in the 20s and 30s. Even though it's pretty cold, it's going to have a nice warm up here this afternoon. We've got 20s and 30s all across the Carolinas right now, but A lot of sunshine out there today, combined with that milder flow and the dry air in place, means temperatures up into the 60s for highs today. It will be a little breezy and gusty out there from time to time. The wind picking up a little bit more tomorrow. We could have wind gusts around 25, even close to 40 miles an hour at times. We will see this dry cold front moving on through, but that's not going to do much for us. It will be just that, stay dry. We're still going to see a lot of sunshine, and we're still on the warm side of that front until Tuesday and Wednesday. We get just a little bit cooler, but still above average temperatures for this time of the year. So high today, 62, breezy at times. That wind out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Tonight we'll cool it down to 34 with a clear sky, and then for Valentine's Day on Monday, windy but beautiful. Sunshine, mild up to 67. Just a little bit cooler Tuesday and Wednesday, and then right back into the warmth for Thursday and Friday. Highs on Friday will be in the low 70s for some folks. Well, stay tuned. We'll have more weather up for you in less than 10 minutes. And that's it. I wanted to show you one real quick thing too, and it's kind of funny. Maybe I should do this on Halloween, but you know, green is one of my favorite colors. I wish I could wear it, but I can't, because you see obviously how the weather wall is green. This is what happens if we wear green. I have a green sweater. Yeah, we become like invisible ghost people up here. So that's why we can't wear green or even any sort of bluish greenish color. So we have to stick with the darker colors and just basically anything that's not greenish. So that's just something cool for you to see. All right, so that's it. Thanks.
So there you have it. Now you know what the building looks like, the inner workings of the studio, how we work the storm tracker radar, build graphics, make the forecast, which is most important, and present it at the green wall. I'm glad you could stop by. And any questions?